You know, it sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood movie, doesn't it? A real-life crime thriller. But this one unfolded at the world's most famous museum. We're talking broad daylight, with tourists everywhere trying to get that perfect selfie with the Mona Lisa. This is the story of the Great Louvre Heist.
7. That's it, 7 minutes. I mean, that's less time than it takes most of us to decide what to watch on Netflix. And in that tiny window, a team of unbelievably audacious thieves pulled off one of the most brazen robberies in modern history. And just like that, they vanished with a priceless piece of France's past.
And really, that's the big, shocking question that's on everyone's mind, right? How on earth was this even possible? How does a gang of thieves just breach a global landmark packed with visitors and guards and simply melt away into the streets of Paris?
Okay, so let's really dive into this. To understand the heist, you first have to understand the target. Because the Louvre, well, it isn't just any museum. It is supposed to be an impenetrable fortress of art. I mean, think about it. This place literally houses the soul of a nation. It's a former royal palace, a sprawling, massive complex that sees millions of people every single year. It's a symbol of French history, and you'd think a high-security institution built specifically to protect that very history.
Now look, the Louvre is no stranger to drama. Way back in 1911, the Mona Lisa itself was famously swiped by a handyman, of all people. But this timeline really shows us that nothing in its long history even comes close to the sheer scale, the speed, and the pure audacity of what just went down.
All right, let's get to the heist itself. We're going to break down this absolutely stunning operation, which kicked off at 9:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning, just 30 minutes after the museum had opened its doors to the public.
The plan was just surgical. 4 masked men pull up in a truck, they extend a furniture lift right up to a window of the Apollo Gallery, which is home to the Crown Jewels. They use angle grinders to cut through the security glass, smash into 2 very specific display cases, grab the loot, and then they're off, speeding away on scooters, in and out, 7 minutes flat.
It's the question everyone's asking, isn't it? In a museum that's supposed to have the best security in the world, where were the guards when all this was happening? Well, the thing is, they were there, and they responded immediately.
And this right here, this is a crucial detail from the Paris prosecutor. See, the thieves weren't armed with guns. They were armed with their tools. They actually confronted the unarmed guards by brandishing the spinning angle grinders they just used to cut through the glass. They effectively turned them into terrifying weapons.
And because of that, the guards did exactly what they were trained to do. In that split second, they made a choice that is absolutely fundamental to museum security all over the world: people over property. Faced with these aggressive intruders and a gallery full of terrified tourists, their training just kicked in. Their one and only focus was getting everyone out safely. And that decision, well, that gave the thieves the precious window they needed.
And what did they get in that window? Oh, just 8 priceless pieces of French royal history. We are talking about an emerald necklace that was a gift from Napoleon to his wife, a sapphire tiara worn by a queen, and a diamond brooch that belonged to Empress Eugénie that has nearly 2,500 diamonds in it. These were not random grabs. They knew exactly what they were after.
The estimated value of everything they took is just staggering. Around 88 million euros, which is over 100 million US dollars. But you know what? That number is almost meaningless. These are pieces of history, artifacts that belong to emperors and queens. Their cultural value is just, it's incalculable.
Which, of course, brings us to the desperate aftermath. The museum is now a crime scene. A massive investigation is underway. But for those stolen jewels, the clock is ticking. This has become a frantic international race against time. And this slide really lays out the grim reality of a theft like this. You see, experts are warning that artifacts this famous are basically impossible to sell whole on the black market. So the greatest fear is that the thieves will simply dismantle them, melting down the historic gold, recutting the priceless gems, and destroying these one-of-a-kind pieces of history forever, all for the raw value of their parts.
As you'd expect, the official response has been absolutely massive. More than 60 investigators are on the case. President Macron has condemned it, calling it an attack on the nation's heritage, while his political opponents are, of course, calling it a national humiliation. And at the same time, Interpol has issued a global alert, desperately trying to stop these priceless artifacts before they disappear into the criminal underworld for good.
See, beyond the manhunt and the missing jewels, what is the lasting impact of this absolutely shocking event? What's the heist's true legacy going to be?
This quote from an art crime investigator. It really says it all, doesn't it? This heist has sent shockwaves through the entire museum world. It's seen as a profound embarrassment, for sure, but it's way more than that. It is a terrifying wake-up call for every single cultural institution out there.
And that leads us to a pretty chilling realization. If the Louvre, what we all thought was a fortress of art, can be breached this easily, in broad daylight, in just 7 minutes, then how can smaller museums with way fewer resources possibly protect themselves? It's a question that is now haunting curators absolutely everywhere. So, as this massive manhunt continues, we're all left with this question. Is this going to be remembered as the heist of the century, a legendary story of audacious criminal genius? Or is it going to be remembered as a permanent scar? The moment priceless, irreplaceable pieces of our shared human history were just lost forever.